Hey everybody, it's Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi here in Northern California. And today we are going to be working with this particular tile here. And the tangle in the center is called Mathura. I saw it the other day on Facebook and I thought, let's give that a try. That looks like a lot of fun. And then I kind of came up with this interesting border tangle that you can see here. I'm looking for names, so if you want to put a name for that border tangle in the comments section, I'm going to try to submit it to Tangle Patterns and see if it hasn't already been used. It was inspired by a Native American basket that I saw, and I just was so inspired by it, I thought I would add it to the tangle. So a couple of things. I actually did this tangle a couple of times. You know me, I can't do the same tangle twice. So one time I put the circle on the inside of Mathura and the other time I didn't. And I changed things up on that border tangle. This one has more arrows in it. This one doesn't have arrows in it. So I was just playing around with variations on the theme. So there is that. Now, the things that we are going to need for class, we are going to need a trusty Micron PN. And we are also going to need our Signo Uniball pen. This is my favorite white pen. And then we will need to have a handy dandy, no eraser, no mistakes, only oops or tunities pencil. And then finally, your favorite color pencils. Today in class, we'll be working with the rustic tile from my Tangled Yogi store. The rustic tile is a nice tan tile, but it's got a very, very smooth finish, so it receives color really, really well. It's my favorite tile for this kind of work. I'm a big fan of it. So if you're interested in checking out the rustic tile, you can go to tangledyogi.com. You can buy a 15-pack for $10. And you are good to go. All right, so let's get ourselves centered so that we can begin to tangle. Take a moment to sit nice and deeply into your chair. Let your back rest against the back of the chair here. Let your feet make connection with the floor. Allow the spine to grow comfortably tall. And allow the eyes to close. Let's take in a nice deep breath right here as we shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. And then exhale, roll the shoulders back and down. Inhaling, shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. And then exhale, roll the shoulders back and down. Last one right here. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up. And then exhale. Shrug the shoulders back and down. And let's let the attention now fall on the breath here. Taking in a nice deep breath. In. And as you exhale, exhaling through the mouth. Out. Inhaling. In, and exhaling out. Last time here, inhaling in, and exhaling out. So as we sit here in our meditation, I'd like to share a reading. And this comes from Tamara Levitt. And she writes about creative play. She says, "When we're children, we took any opportunity to be playful and creative. Whether it was painting with watercolor or making up a silly song, we had no fear. It didn't matter if it was good. What mattered was if it was fun. As we age, the story changes. We go to great lengths to avoid feeling incompetent or looking foolish. As adults, if we don't feel confident doing something, we stop doing it. So we stick to what we're good at and let the crayons and the tambourine gather dust in the closet. But when we deprioritize creativity, we miss out on fun, play, and joy. Creative expression reduces stress and improves our quality of life. It also helps us access subtle thoughts and emotions. So it is a cathartic means of self-exploration. With the teachings of mindfulness, we can forge an opening to rediscover creative play. By applying the principles of non-judgment and non-attachment, we can also approach a creative endeavor not to produce a masterpiece, but rather to enjoy the process. By calling on self-acceptance, we can quiet criticism about our skill and strengthen our courage. And by embracing a state of curiosity, we can also take to the blank canvas with a sense of wonder of what our imagination might bring to it. As Pablo Picasso said, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we've grown up. So accept this as an invitation to reconnect with the artist within. Whether through paper mache, dance, or poetry, allow yourself to create unself-consciously and once again reconnect to that joyful state you so easily found as a child. So let's take in another nice deep breath right here. Exhale it out. Allow the eyes to begin to blink open. Wiggle through your fingers and your toes. And let's get ready to tangle. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to take away our friends right here, these two beautiful pieces, and put them off to the side. And we're going to start just the regular old-fashioned Zentangle way by putting our border dots in. So I'm going to come away from the border and have about, I'm going to say about 3/4 of an inch within to work in. And you can see I'm just adding my dots into those corners just like so. And then I'm working with my pencil here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to connect as best I can with those dots. And you can see I might be slightly off, and that's just fine with me. We're not looking for perfection here. We're looking just to have a good time. So once you have that first border, and hopefully you can see mine, try to get that a little bit closer for you. I'm going to come into that square there, and you can see that I'm actually going to do a little bit of a tighter border. I'm going to say that we have about, I would say, 1/4 of an inch here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a nice tight aura inside that square there. So a nice narrow border right there. Still in my pencil, still working with my pencil here. And then I'm going to once again do a wide border, so 3/4 of an inch. Got my dots there, and now I'm going to go again, so I've got a little bit wider of a border. And then finally, I will go ahead and do a narrow border once again. This is about 1/4 of an inch. I'm laying down my dots, connecting my dots, just like so. So you can see there, I've made my string for the class by using the dots, and then I've got my string down. And now I'm going to do something that I like to call overdraw, and I'm going to switch into my Micron pen here, and I'm just going to start to go over all of my my lines there. So I'll just start with the center and work my way out. So I'm just going to go right in here and just clean up my lines as best I can. And I'll go all the way around and do that. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to go all the way through with your pen and overdraw on all those lines. See you in a minute. Take a nice deep breath and let it go and have fun. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to go around and do your overdraw on all the lines here. And you can see that mine aren't perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I think this is a very forgiving little composition that we have here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to work with the corners here. So you can see that I have this line right here. I'm just going to let it go right off the page. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And then I'll come over here, I'll do the same thing. I'll go 1 and 2 and see how that makes the corner. And I'll do the same thing over here, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. I'll turn my tile to make it easy for my hand. 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. So now you can see that we have in our 4 corners these little diamonds in which to work in, which should be really nice and easy for you. If you need to take a moment to pause, go ahead and do so and finish up your piece. Otherwise, we're going to start with the center here. So Mathura looks like this. That's the name here, Mathura, and it was done by Ann Marks. We're not related, but hi, Ann. It's nice to have another Marks around. It's always good. So really love the tangle. Thank you for creating it, and hope you like the video. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tile and put it on the diamond here, and we're gonna start with Mathura. So we're gonna come right here into this corner, and hopefully you can see where I am. And I want you to think about crescent moon. For those of you who have been doing Zentangle for a long time, this is generally one of the first tangles that we learn. So we're going to do a nice big crescent moon right here. You can see it's a nice big fat crescent moon. And then I'm going to do another one right here, nice and juicy. So there I've got these 2 crescent moons that are kind of creating the beginning of a heart shape, if you will. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside of my crescent moon, and I'm going to do a really nice tight aura on the inside of that particular shape. And I'll do the same thing over here. Notice that I'm turning the tile to make it easy for my hands, and all I'm doing is just making a nice tight aura. And then I'm going to put it back on the diagonal so you can see it. And if you need to pause to catch up, go ahead and pause me here. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on going. So I'm going to make another crescent moon right in between these 2 crescent moons here. So you can see I'm going to go up and over. And then once again, I'm going to do a nice tight aura right here. Make that a little bit bigger for you so that you can really see what I'm up to. And then we're going to start to put petals on our Mathura here. So I'm just going to go up from the side here and make a nice rounded edge right up here. Notice how I'm touching the border and then coming back and down again. And then I'll come right over here and I'll do the same thing. I'm going to touch my border, and then watch, I'm going to hit that side crescent moon there. And I'll go ahead and I'll come right over here, and I'll jump right back down again into that crescent moon. So hopefully that was fairly self-explanatory and it was easy for you. If you need to take a minute to catch up with us, I'll see you in a minute. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more detailing into our Mathura here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And in the variation that I saw on Mathura, somebody had taken fescue and worked with fescue in a really nice way. So fescue looks like this. See how I'm right here in this corner? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to come up into the center of that crescent moon, and I'm going to make a little teardrop shape and puddle it in. And then I'm going to come around it, and I'm going to do a poke leaf kind of shape right here. See how that happened? And then what I'll do after I've created that poke leaf is I'm going to add a couple of diagonal lines underneath, and then I'll do a little bit of aura-ing up here as well. You can see but that kind of creates an interesting detail on the inside. I'm going to turn the tile and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm coming from the interior here and I'm going to add that fescue. I'll go ahead and add a little bit of that poke leaf shape, and then 1 diagonal, 2 diagonal, 3 diagonal, 4, yeah. And then we'll do a little bit of aura-ing right there. So there we have the beginning of our design there. If you need to pause, this is a great place to do it. Otherwise, I'm just going to carry on. So here I am. I'm going to add a little bit more fescue to this. So I'm going to come up and out, add that little teardrop shape and puddle it in. Now I'm going to do some little ones right underneath. 1 and 2. Just like so. I'll come over here and I'll do the same thing. 1, and you can see that I started in that corner there. And then I'll come over here and I'll do, here's the little one, and here's another little one. So one of the things that I have learned from my Zentangle teacher was she said that it was always good to work in odd numbers because it made an interesting look for the eye and the composition. So you can see I have 3 fescues in each petal, and I'm doing that intentionally, okay? So with that said, we're gonna do one last thing here. And that is that we're going to add a little bit of detailing into the center. So you can see that in this first one, I did not add a circle into the center, but in the second one I did. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the circle into the center of my Mathura here. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that circle, and I'm going to let it touch on all sides there. So now I have that little circle in the middle, and that will complete the detailing for Mathura. Okay, so if you need to stop right here, this is a great place to do it and finish up and catch up, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so here we are. And what we're going to do now is we're going to work with this border that we have here. It's the first border on the inside. So not this one right here, but this nice thick one right here. And what I've done is I've gone along with my pencil and I've made triangles in each corner. You can all see that I've added that little detailing into the piece here. So go ahead and grab your pencil and do that, and then what we'll do is we'll do an overdraw of that. And you can see that the line is intersecting on each corner of that interior square. So you can see that it's touching the corners of that interior square, just like so. Everybody see that? So that you end up with another square, but on the, it's almost as if it's perpendicular inside the piece here. So if you need to take a minute and do that part, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we are just going to carry on. So I'm going to turn my piece on its side here so that I now have my triangles in each corner. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, now watch here, I'm going to connect 4. So it's almost as if I'm doing a W right in the middle. Can everybody see that? It's just a little W right in the middle. And then I'll turn my tile and I'll do the same thing again. So here I go. I'm going to make my W. And then I'm going to connect. I'll turn my tile. I'm going to make my W. And then I'll connect, and then I'll go again, turn my tile, make my W, and then I connect. So that I end up with this really nice, kind of an Aztec feel in my border there. Can everybody see that? So take a minute to do your W and connect all of your lines, and I'll see you in a minute. Take a breath. If you find yourself getting flustered, remember, we're doing this for fun. So let your judgment pass and just enjoy the process. So hopefully you've had a chance to go all the way around, and we are going to start to work with this really neat Aztec kind of shape that we have around that square there. So I want you to watch me here for this next one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go inside of that Aztec shape, and I'm just going to go 1, 2, and 3, making a little sliver on the outside edge of those triangles there. And then I'm going to go again, and I'll go 1, 2, and 3 on the outside of these triangles, okay? Once I've done that, I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to do the same thing all over again. So I'm just going to go to the outer edge. I'll go 1, 2, 3, and notice how that line now connects. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll go 1, 2, 3. Notice how now that line goes all the way through and connects. Can you see how that happened? Hopefully that was clear. And then once you have that, we're going to turn our tile now so that it's on its side here. So you can see that this portion is just triangles going straight across, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this line right here as a perpendicular, and it almost looks like we're doing between, because when I come in there, I'm going and I'm not hitting in the corner, I'm slightly off. Can you see that? But then I'm just going to go and add a couple of more lines there. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So it almost looks like I'm doing the beginning of between, but I'm not. And then I'll do a couple more lines. And then one more time. And then I'll just turn my tile clockwise and see how I have this line right here. There's my little branch or my column. So I'm just going perpendicular to it. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. Turning my tile clockwise. So now I'm going to get it so that it's nice and straight here. Now notice that my column is on the other side. It's flipped. So I'm going to go over here. This is where I've got the singular column. I'll do it again. And one more time. No, this one I'm going to add an extra just because there was extra room. I'm going to flip. Notice the column went to the other side now, so I'm looking for my single line. And I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one right here. 1, 2, and 3. You can see that that gives us a really nice, interesting pattern that has a really nice Native American feel or a Southwest feel to it. So if you need to catch up to us, go ahead and catch up to us, and I'll see you in a minute. Don't forget to breathe. If frustration or determination shows up, just roll right with it. Notice that it's there, and then just keep on trucking. Okay, so we're going to continue to work on here, and I'm going to start to work with those triangular corners right in here. And what I want to do is I'm just going to create a diamond to line up with the rest of my piece. So you can see I'm just going to go 1 and 2, and that's going to give me a diamond right there. I'm going to turn my tile. I'm going to come right here. All I'm doing is really just a V. 1 and 2. I'll turn my tile again. 1 and 2. And I'll do it one last time right here. 1 and 2. I heard a really nice saying the other day. I think it was Rick that had said it. He said, "You know a successful tangler by the many times that they turn their tile." And I thought, well, then I must be doing pretty good because I turn my tile all the time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to aura inside our V's here. So I'm just going to do a nice tight aura. 1 and 2. I'll turn and I'll do it again. 1 and 2. I'll do it again. 1 and 2. I'll do it again. Last one right here. 1 and 2. So now we've got a really nice pattern in that interior border. Pretty cool. I'm going to flip that tile around so that it looks a little more like it's right side up. I know that in the Zentangle world we like to say it could go any which way, and it can, but I like it when my flower is facing up. So we're going to start to work out in these exterior borders. If you need extra time to finish up what we just did, go ahead and pause me right here. Otherwise, we are going to start to work. So I'm going to turn my tile on its side here just so that I have that nice clear border easy for me to work in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 dots in equal distance to each other right along the top of that border. And then I'm going to add 4 dots on the bottom half of that border as well. So you're going to go around to each part of your piece and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll just keep going all the way around, and you just want to make sure that they are equidistant to each other. I'll do that right over here as well. And these are going to be reference lines for us for working in our border here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll make that nice and big for you so that you can see all of that. So once I have that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to make an X right here. I'm going to skip this space right here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make an X. And then I'm going to come into this corner right here, and I'll do it again. So I've got 3 X's right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of an aura on 3 sides of that X. You can hear my puppies in the background. Ear shaking. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the 3 sides of this X right over here. But notice that I've left this X for last. The only thing I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura right here and right here. Now, you can see that I've got some nice space in between here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do something that I like to refer to as making a rectangle or dropping a box. So I'm going to go right here and I'm going to drop a box. And notice how that creates a really nice arrow effect. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the same thing. Once I have that, then I can go ahead and I can aura inside of the arrow. So I've got this right here, and I'm being very careful as I aura. So this is the tangle that I need you to help me name here. I don't have a name for it, and I really could use some help. So if you have any ideas, put this in the comment box here. There's that, like that. So I've got those 2 arrows in the center here, and then I've got all of that work on the outside here. So let's go ahead and do this border one more time together, okay? I'm gonna turn my tile to the side here. I've got this nice blank area. I've got my dots all set up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll make my first X in the corner. I'll come over here and I'll do my X's in the middle. So I'm skipping this spot right here. I'm gonna do an X right here. and then I'll do an X right here. So I've got my 3 X's now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura, aura, aura. I'm going to wait for that guy. I'll aura, aura, aura. And then I'm waiting for in here. Now I have to do my boxes. So I'll drop my boxes down. I'll drop another box right here. Here's another one. And I'll do another one. Now I can come into this X and I can do my 2 auras on the top and on the bottom. And now I can aura inside of my arrows here. Right, so I'll do one here and one here. I'll come up and over, creating that aura. And then I'll do another one right here. So I'm just going to go aura, 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 aura. And there you have it. There's this side right over here. So I'm going to ask you guys to finish up these ones on your own. Now I notice like people get really panicky when they have to remember stuff. If you just need to rewind me for a little bit and do it together, go for it. I'll see you in a minute, okay? Deep breath, relax, and enjoy. Okay, so here we are, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, Rami, this is getting awfully busy. And I agree, it is a little bit busy, but one of the things that I've learned about Zentangle is the busier the tangle, the better it is when you color it in. So we are going to start by doing some color here. And so I want you to start to think about what color you want to see in your leaves in Mathura here. And that's an important color because it's going to show up in a lot of different areas in this particular piece. So one of the things that I talked about with my students was that we're going to do something I call carrying color, and it's where you take color from one part of a piece to the next. So here I have my green and I carried it here and then I carried it here. And that's a way of giving the eye a place to land. And I did the same thing in here as well. So I took that color, I carried it here, and I carried it here. So we're going to do something called carrying color. So go ahead, pick your color, and remember, leaves aren't always green. Sometimes they're red, sometimes they're orange, sometimes they're a purplish color. I have a beautiful smoke bush in the back of the house, and all the leaves are a beautiful purple. So you pick what color you want to see in your leaves, and then we'll begin with our color. So since I talked about that smoke bush, I think I'm going to go ahead and use some purple for my leaves here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a light purple, and then I'm going to have a darker purple nearby. Can you tell that I like these pencils a lot? They're almost gone. I'm going to have to buy new ones. Oh yes, I use my pencils a lot. So here we go. So I'm going to just take this light purple, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. And I'm going to go in and just lay down a really nice light color. And one of the things that I talk about a lot in my videos is a little bit of color theory. And since I haven't done that, I'm going to flip my tile right now. So the tile is going to show that you can do light, medium, and you can do dark all with one color. But one of the things that I like to do is I like to add a deeper color nearby just to help me get a little extra contrast when I'm looking for that little bit of pop. So I'm going to turn this over right here, and I'm going to come right back in, and I'm going to add a little bit of that medium tension. So this is that same color that I did the lightness with, and I'm going to go now with a little bit of medium tension. And I'll do that medium tension right over here as well. And then I'm going to go over to the opposite side, and do the same thing. And I am remembering now that I neglected to tell you about a very important supply for this piece, and I'm feeling a little bit upset with myself for not saying anything about it. So I might as well just get it off my chest right now. Most of you who have color pencils probably have a white pencil. If you have a white pencil, make sure that you have it nearby. I am now desperately looking for my white pencil, and I will bring it in the next segment when I have a chance to run into the next room and go and grab it. So in the meantime, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to do that medium tension right here and that medium tension right over here. And then finally, I'll come in with that really nice dark contrasting purple and add it into the corner here and into the corner right here. And then I'll come up and add it here, and I will add it into the corner right here. So take a minute and do this part, and I will see you in a moment. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to do that little part here. White pencil. Ah, bad teacher. Forgot to put that in there. So here we go. So the white pencil is really, really great for blending colors. A lot of you may like a blender. I know that Prisma makes a blender. I just think it's a really scratchy kind of blender. So I'm really partial to white as a blender. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna add a little bit of white right here into the middle, and watch what happens when I do that. I get a really nice highlight and that color starts to really pop. Isn't that fantastic? I just love that. So I'll come over here and I'll do the same thing right in here. And then I might jump back into my other pencil just for a minute and I'll do a dark area right here on this stripe. And then I might just do a little bit of a dark area on this stripe as well. And then I can go back in with my white pencil and just add a little bit of interest into those leaves right here and right in here. So can you see how that started to get a really nice glowy effect? So that is done with that white pencil. So if you don't have one, you can always go out and grab one later on, but it is really effective on tan paper, and I'm really sorry that I didn't mention it earlier. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to go through there and add a little bit of that purple. And now we're going to start to carry the color. So that's one of the things that I was talking about earlier. So I'm not talking about this border right here, but I'm talking about this border right out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here and I'm going to start to lay down this really nice light purple in the border here. And I'm just going to shade very lightly all the way around inside of the piece here. So I'm just going to go in, add that color. And you can see I'm not being overly precious about it. I'm just laying down that color really fast and not being perfectionistic about it at all. It doesn't matter that it's messy in here because we'll go through there and clean it up a little bit later. So I'm just getting that color to lay down, and then now I will start with that medium tension. So I'm gonna start to press a little bit harder on that purple pencil, and you can see that I'm kind of working in a more circle-ish like motion here. And you can see that I'm letting it come out about halfway into the border. And then I'm going to start to circle around that corner here and get that right in there. Let me get this nice and close up for you so that you can see what I'm up to. I've got that really nice kind of smoky feeling going all the way around in here. Just to really get that nice feeling of depth. So later on, it will look like that this is inlaid into the piece. And that's really what I'm going for. I'm trying to give it dimensionality, which is really important. In my opinion, when you're doing Zentangle, to give a sense of dimension, to give a sense of shading is really where Zentangle kind of pops. It makes it come alive. And it's one of my favorite parts of doing Zentangle is doing the shading aspect, and that's why I devote so much of my time in my videos to shading. So once I've done that medium tension, now remember that darker purple? That darker purple is gonna hug the edge here of that black line. And you can see that I'm letting it just really stay nice and close to that black line. And it almost starts to give that glowing feeling to that purple. So I'm just carrying on all the way around in that border here. You can see I'm turning my tile. Successful tangler here. Getting all the way around. And then once I've done that, and I've completed going all the way around, I've got my secret weapon here. I'm grabbing that white pencil. I know, I can't believe that I forgot it too. Sheesh. And then I'm coming in and I'm very, very lightly on the edge, starting to blend into that purple. Notice how I'm not touching the dark. I'm really just staying on the edge here. It's very important that you stay away from the dark with this because you'll start to pull it up into the other parts, and we're not looking to pull it into the other parts. So you can see I'm just going into that medium purple, that light purple, but not touching the dark purple with the white. And look at how this gives it almost a neon kind of glowing feeling. It's a really nice feeling, I think. I'm just going all the way around. I'm getting those nice and glowy. And there you have it. Really electric in color. Isn't that amazing how that worked out? So take a minute to finish up and I'll see you in a sec. All right, so hopefully you've had a chance to finish that part up, and now we are going to start to add a little bit more of that color. And remember how I talked about carrying color? So we're going to carry the color again. So you can see where I have those boxes and the borders right here. So we're going to work around those boxes, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start to carry that color right into my arrows. So I'll grab the arrows in here and I'll add that purple right into the arrows in here and in here. And then once I have that purple inside the arrows, I'm going to start to add it a little bit of that medium tension right on the tips of the arrows. And then I'll add a little bit more of that purple right over here. Then I'm going to grab that purple, that dark purple, and I'm really going to place it right in the tips of the arrows here and here. Make sure you can see that really well. And then finally, I'm going to grab that white and I'm going to bring it right into the center here. And you'll see that that starts to give that a really nice glowing quality. So you're going to do that same color in all of your arrows all the way around. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in a minute. Don't forget to breathe, relax, and have a good time. Okay, so you can see that I've had a chance to go all the way around, and it's starting to have almost like a stitching-like effect, which I really like. Now, what I want to do is I want to talk about these triangles right here. Can everybody see that? These guys right here on the corners? Those are extensions of these. So we're going to go in with a little bit of light purple, and we'll add some of that in there. And then we'll do a little bit of darker on the tip and then a little bit more of the dark on the tip. And then you can grab a little bit of white for right on the edge. And then that way it carries it all the way off the corner there. So you can see that all I'm doing is just adding it to the outside edges as well. So go ahead and do your corners on each side, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we have had the opportunity to go all the way around and finish up those arrows. So now we're going to start to work with the colors inside the petals right here. So for this part, I'm going to grab a really nice orange. Now, one of the things that I talk to you guys about a lot is having that contrast color nearby. So I've got that light orange with me, and I've got a nice dark orange to be a contrast with that. So I'm going to just take that and have that handy. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I am going to lay down a little bit of that orange into this area in here. Now you'll notice that because that color is so light, it is hard to get depth off of it. You can't even get a really medium color off of that orange. It just doesn't show up the way that we would like it to. So we'll be using the contrast color in the light and the medium and the dark. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to grab that dark orange very lightly now towards the middle. I'm going to go ahead and bring in that mid-range of orange. And you can see that my, my color pencil is moving in a circular-like motion. It's coming up about halfway up the petal to give it something interesting. Working my way through these petals here, and you can notice that my color pencil is working in a circular-like motion to keep it from getting jagged lines. I really want to have a smoky effect on that color. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to lay down some pressure on the pencil itself, and you can start to see that this is really starting to get a nice deep orange kind of feel to it, almost a very glowy feel to it. I love to see orange next to purple. It's one of my favorite combinations. So there's that, and then I'll grab that white again and I will go ahead and I will add a little bit of white just to the top of the petal here to start to blend in that light, the medium, and the dark. But I'm not touching the dark. I'm leaving the dark alone. I'm just touching the light and the medium. So you can see that that really starts to give it a more popping kind of feeling. Can you see that? Really kind of makes it a little bit more electric, as it were. So go ahead and do your petals, and if you need to pause me, this is a great place to do it. Otherwise, I'm just going to carry my colors now. So once I've had an opportunity to put those colors in, what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to add those colors now to the outside. So what I'll do is I'll start to come into this area right in here where my diamonds are. Can everybody see that? So once I have those, I'm just going to go in and start to add a little bit of that orange into my diamond, and then I'll add a little bit of that darker orange, but very, very lightly. I'm just using the lightest tension with that. And then finally, I'll give it a really deep tension right up at the top. And then I'll shift my page and I'll do it again. I'll do a little bit of light. And then I'll add some of that darker color, but with very light tension. And then finally, I will go in with that darker color and give it a little bit of that heaviness. So you're going to go around and you're going to finish up those diamonds, okay? See you in a minute. So you can see I've had a chance to add in those diamonds, and now I'm going to carry the color again. So I'm going to carry the color now around my arrows, and you'll see that that's really going to give a really beautiful pop of color around those arrows. Seeing orange and purple together is just, I think it's kind of an electric combination. So I'm just going in and I'm grabbing those colors and laying them down around the arrow itself. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger for you so that you can see that coming in here as well. So getting all the way around that arrow here and here. I'll even come down over here and there. Same thing over here and here. Now I'll grab that kind of orangish red and I'll start to bring it into the tips. And a little bit on the sides here and here, just so that I have a place now to put some of that white when we want to really make it electric. So I'm just going in, adding that red, and you can see that I'm not putting too much pressure on it. And then I'll grab that white, and here we go. So right in here, right in that space, I'm adding a little bit of white, and that just gives it a little bit of a pop. Takes that yellow and just really beefs it up a little bit and gives it that. So you can see the difference between here and here. More electric, less electric, right? So same thing right here. Right in here. And if you need to sharpen your pencil, don't be worried about it. Go in there and grab the pencil sharpener and do it. There's no rush. I missed doing these guys right here. So I'm going to go back in, grab that red or that reddish orange. Bring that in. And there you have it. So you're going to go all the way around your arrows and do that. I'll see you in a minute. Take your time and relax with this. This should be very therapeutic. You don't have to solve any problems. All you have to do is color and relax. See you soon. Okay, so you can see that I've had a chance to go all the way around and it's really starting to look great. I'm enjoying it very much. And so what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to work on the inside petal here. And I'm going to take this really nice light brown. It's almost like a beigey brown. And I'm going to bring that so that you can see it nice and close here. And I'll come into the area with that nice light beigey brown. And I've got a nice kind of darker brown nearby for that because I'm not going to get the shading that I want. And I'll come in with that darker brown now and just add a little bit of depth right into the tips of that center area. Now, like I said before, we're carrying colors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that nice light color and I'm going to start to bring it into my triangles. So to shade the triangles here, I'm going to start to bring in that really pretty kind of wheat-like brown into these triangles. And then once I've got that brown in those triangles there, I will grab that darker brown and I will start to bring it into the area around that inner square. And you'll see that once again, that will start to give me a really pretty glow factor that will just create a very nice intensity that I'm looking for. And then I'll take that dark brown and I'll really start to press on it to give that definition around that line. Can everybody see that? How that gives that a really nice dark appeal? So once I've done that, I'll shade a little bit lighter into that lighter brown, just to give it a little bit of softness. And then I'm going to grab my white pencil and I will take my white pencil and start to blend into it just a little bit. And you can see that that starts to give that a really interesting appeal. So it has like a weedy kind of feeling to it. So I'm going to go all the way around in my triangles and do that, and I hope you will too. And I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I've had a chance to go all the way around with that brown, and I'm really liking the way that it's looking. So I'm going to start to come into my border now to carry the pieces in. And so I've got these little areas inside my X's, and that's where I'm going to put that color. So I'm carrying the color from here. So we started from here, we're going to here, and now we're going to here. And so I'm going to carry that color into those X's, laying it down so I can see it nice and rich. Same thing here, same thing here. And then I'll come in with that darker brown and bring a little bit of that deeper brown into the tips here. Same thing here. And the same thing here. So you'll go all the way around inside your X's and lay that color into those aura areas in your X's, okay? I'll see you in a minute. Go all the way around. All right, so this is really coming along. I'm very happy with the way this piece is going here. So in the prior pieces that I have done, I generally started to add black into the areas that were surrounding. But I'm feeling a little bit curious and wanting to know what would happen if I didn't add black. So for this next part, if you wish to add black, you could go ahead and grab a Tombow pen, which is one of my favorite pens that's out on the market. I love this double-headed Tombow. Or you could use your Mono Twin pen for puddling if you like that. But in this case, I'm gonna teach it with color just because I'm curious and I wanna know how it goes. Now, the other thing that I like to say, people, is if you don't like it, you can always add black later. That's why black is so awesome. So one of the things that Rick and Maria talk about is they do something called Bronx cheer. When something is not working out, they'll do this, it looks like a little blackberry tangle, and it's just black ink that they put over the top of something if it doesn't go their way. And I always say that you can always go back in with black ink later if you don't want to do the color, or if you just want to grab that and do it now, you can. So I'm actually going to use some turquoise in mine, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start by coming into this little circle in here, and I'm going to start to use a really nice light turquoise, and you'll notice that I'm leaving a little bit of light off onto one side here. Let me make that a little bit bigger. I'll use a little bit of medium tension. Now you'll notice that you can't really see that because it's not got a lot of pigmentation to it, so it doesn't really show. But I've got this darker turquoise nearby, and so I'll add a bit of that to give it a little bit of that depth that I'm looking for. Now I can grab my pencil, my white pencil, and just add a hint of that right where the light is, and that just gives it a little bit of a glow, which I really like. So now that I have that here, I'm gonna, once again, I'm carrying that color. So I'll go in here to my negative space triangles here. You can see that there's nothing in these triangles, and I'm gonna start to lay down a really pretty turquoise. And once I have that, I'll just do this whole section so that you can see what I'm up to here. So I've got that really nice turquoise. I'm not being too precious about it. And then what I'll do is right along the edges here, I'm gonna add that darker turquoise, but I'm really doing it with light tension first. And I'm going about halfway up the triangle here. I'll do the same thing right here. So you can see I'm on the side where that sliver is. And I'm going about halfway up. Same thing right here, halfway up. And then I'll do a nice dark tension right along that line. So I'll do that right here and right there. So I'll go all the way around and I'll do that. So go ahead, if you decided you want to do black, do the black. If you want to do a color with me, do a color. I'll see you soon. Okay, so you can see that I've had a chance to go all the way around with that turquoise, and boy, am I glad I did. That is so fun and different. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in with that white pencil, and I'm gonna just start to add a little bit of white into the lightest areas of the turquoise. And hopefully I'll get a little bit of a nice blended quality when it touches that darker turquoise. So you can see that I'm not being overly precious about it. I'm just kind of going in and adding a little bit of that light white into that light turquoise and letting it just touch a little bit into that medium turquoise. So I'm just going all the way around and just adding a little bit of that to it. And you can see I'll turn my tile to make it easier for my hand to move, which is good. Always want to be comfortable when you're doing Zentangle. You don't want to have your neck all crooked up and your shoulders all crooked up. You want to feel relaxed when you're doing it. So that gave that a little bit more of a glow factor, which I'm really liking. Now, one of the things that we've talked about a lot in this video is carrying color. So we are going to carry our color again. We're going to take that turquoise and we're going to bring it into the boxes that we have here. So I've got that light turquoise in my hands here. I'm laying that down into the boxes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that darker turquoise and bring it right in here and right in here. And then finally, I'll grab that white and bring a little bit of that into the center. So you go ahead and do that in all of the boxes, and I will see you in a minute. I'm just gonna start to bring in that turquoise right in here and lay that down nice and light. I'm not being overly pressured about it. And then I'll come in and I'll get that really nice, let me get this nice and big for you so you can see it. I'll come in and I'll do this a little bit deeper, but I'm not pressing hard. I'm actually pressing very lightly on that darker color. And then when I get into the corner, that's where I want to give it its real oomph, that push. And then I'm going to come in with that white and start to blend the lightest part of the turquoise with the medium turquoise. So just to give it that glow factor, and look at how that is just popping off the page. It just love it. Love it. So I'm gonna go around to these guys right here, boop, and I'll finish this up. So you go ahead and do the same thing, and then have your white pen handy. You know that Signo Uniball one that we were talking about? If you don't have that one, you could use the Jelly Roll. I like the Jelly Roll 10 because it shows up really well. That's the white one from Jelly Roll. Or I've seen the Pentel white pen. That one is a good one too. So whatever you have nearby, just go ahead and grab it. But finish up these last corners, and I'll see you soon. All right, so I'm just gonna finish up with this turquoise here. I neglected to mention that we wanted to put it in here as well. So I'm just gonna come in and add a little bit to this area as well. Just giving that a little bit of color around the top. And if you have a black pen and you wanna put that in there, you're welcome to put that in there. I'm just gonna add a little bit of that contrasting color in there just to give it a little bit of pop, a little bit of shading. So once I've done that, remember how we were talking about that white pen? So I'm really partial to the Signo. Hopefully that's in focus there. The Signo Uniball pen, I just think it's just got the nicest white. I like the jellies, but I just don't think that they're as powerful. And that comes in handy in other techniques. So I'm not bad-mouthing it, I'm just saying that it's not usable in the way that I would want it to be. However, if you're in a pinch, it will do the job. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to add some of the white here. And you know me, I like to work from the inside out. So I'm gonna come right in here to our Mathura here. Let me get that a little bit bigger for you. And I'm gonna start to add some lines. You gotta get that Uniball to start. Sometimes it can be a little cantankerous here. And I'm just gonna add some white lines into the that little area of Mathura. Can you see how that happened? I just think that really looks beautiful. And then I'll come in here to where our turquoise is, and I will add a little bit of an aura inside of that turquoise area. And I'm even going to go ahead and add a little bit of a aura right there, just to give that a little bit more work. Yeah. So once I've had that, now you're not going to puddle the white pen because the pen has a lot of ink in it and it is paint, and I really want you to be cautious not to smudge it. So really we're just doing lines in here. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add, and you want to go very lightly with the uniball because if you press hard it doesn't want to produce. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of a white line here and all the way around. So I'll just begin to work my way through those little slivers there. And you can see I'm not being overly precious about it. I'm just adding in that white into here. Now that that uniball has really gotten going, it's a lot easier to work with here. So you can see that that's really starting to pop right off the page. And then I'll start to now bring it into the corners here. And you let me know if I'm going too fast. You can always pause and catch up with me. I'm just going in and adding it into my corners here. Hopefully I'm not off the screen. Spinning around. So you can really see that that has brought a lot of dimension into the piece already, and we're not even halfway done there. So now I'm going to go into these borders out here where the X's are, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white here and right here, here, and here. Can you see the difference that that makes? Look at the difference that that makes between here and here. That's pretty amazing. So I'm just going to go all the way around in my X's, and I'll see you in a minute. So I've had a chance to go around to all my X's here, and I'm going to start to bring that that line now, that white line, into this border area right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go right down the center here, and you can see that I'm just taking that line and bringing it all the way around the center here. And carrying it all the way around the center. And then what I'll start to do is I'll start to come out here into this purple. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it. So now I'll start to come out into the purple. But what I'm going to do is in the corners here on the purple, I'm just going to frame those in. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 with a couple of dots. And then I'll do it over here. Give that a little bit of depth. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And I'll spin it around here. One, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then here's the final spot. One, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. That really is starting to come together. I really like the way this is feeling. The final piece for all of this is going to be in the corners here. And what I did in my corners for the other pieces where the black is I put a little circle with some little spokes coming out. And I think the name of this is Sputnik, but I'm not sure. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little dot in the corner here. So once I have those dots in the corner here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a little circle around the dots with my pen that doesn't want to cooperate. So I will say this, the Signos do get cranky when they go over the colored pencils a little bit. So the lighter the touch, the easier it will be, okay? So I'm coming in here and I'm just going to start to add now the legs of the little Sputnik that we have here. And then I'll add little teeny tiny legs. So I'll go around to each one now and I'll do that. So I'll just add that little circle. And you really do want to be careful with that paint pen because you can smudge it. So just be mindful. I'm going over here and then I'll add the little guys. And then I'll turn and I'll add some more. Add it in. Final piece right here. Add those little guys. And there you have it. We have just done the final part of our piece. Well, not the final part. We have to find a place to put our chop. So your initial is important because it's your way of marking that you have finished doing the piece, right? It's the finishing of your meditation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in here and I'm gonna find a little place to hide my initial, just to say that I've completed and that kind of thing. So I think where I'm gonna put my chop is right in, I don't know where to put my chop. I think I'm gonna put it right in here. So I'll come right over here and I'll put my R in there. That way I know I finished. You can see it's teeny tiny little R that I put in there. And then I'll just fade that right out. So once you've put your chop on it, you've said, I am now completed with my piece and ready to let go. So I hope you enjoyed the class today, and if you did, please leave a nice review on the video or at least a thumbs up saying that you enjoyed the class. We are trying to increase our online presence here at Tangled Yogi. And if you are interested in the tiles, I have these really great tiles on the website at tangledyogi.com. This is the rustic tile that we worked on today, and you can check those out there. And finally, the last thing that I want to say is that, you know, this is the first of many tangles. One of the things my friend Andrea, who owns a Work of Heart studio down in San Jose, it's a great studio if you ever want to take classes from her, she always says the first of many. And you can see that I've done this a few times and each time it's different. So I want to encourage you to try this in all different ways. The next time you could try metallics, or you could try working with watercolors, or you could try doing this on black paper with white pen. There's so many different ways to do it. So I want to encourage you to try it in all different ways. So until we tangle again, I'm Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi.